All right, peace world. What is good? So, gotta talk about it real quick. I don't know how long this video is gonna drag. I don't edit. Tend not to edit my videos, man. A lot of what I say here, man, is like from the hip. I don't need to edit. Our podcast and everything might need some editing, but as far as when I'm just shooting the shit with y'all, man, like you're getting my full 100 unedited version of my thoughts. But anyway. So yeah, man, look, Terence Crawford and Top Rank are the news right now in boxing as Terence Crawford has filed a lawsuit against Top Rank stating racial bias as it concerns why he didn't land the fights he was supposed to land, which obviously constituted in money that he was not awarded, for the fights he was supposed to be in, and he's looking for around $10 million. I mean, there is a number attached, but the big story here, because listen, I think a lot of us, had he made an announcement saying, "Hey, listen, I'm gonna take Top Rank to court," matter of fact, we did, but there was no racial ties to it yet. I did. If you go back after the Porter fight, there was discussion that Crawford might take Top Rank to court based on money that he was owed, or promised, I should say, based on the fights that he was promised he would get. Now, I'm going to get to that in a second, but the big monkey wrench in here at this point, and I guess I don't know if people would look at it as a monkey wrench for either Top Rank or for Terence Crawford, as it concerns, I guess, the overall validity to the case. Okay, now, again, I'm not, listen, as a disclaimer, I'm not an attorney, okay? I'm not a practicing attorney. But at the same time, a lot of this does come down to just bare bones common sense as it concerns, again, if Crawford and team have a legitimate case that they can provide, again, evidence. And I've been on a couple Clubhouse, I'm heavily on that. One main boxing room. A shout out to everybody on there. But this was talked about today. And you're hearing a lot of points from the perspective of people believing Crawford has a case and people saying he doesn't. But what's interesting is you're not hearing a lot of arguments between both sides of the story, because even the people that think it's not racially biased, or meaning that Crawford doesn't have a case, a lot of those same people though still point at situations dealing with Bob Arum that you could make a case that this has maybe happened before. I'm trying to say this without like making this like again, this is just my opinion, okay? And from what I see on the surface, and I guess in my head right now, and I'm saying all this like without seeing, again, what Crawford and team are bringing to the table to show legitimacy of the racial bias that has prevented him from landing the fights that he was promised. Okay, because number one, I think if they're going to go to litigation, they're going to do this, okay? Number one, yeah, you do need to provide evidence that shows the fights that you didn't get, whether, again, and look, is there literature that says that Bob Arum and Top Rank were promising Terence Crawford fights with the likes of Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, Errol Spence, Manny Pacquiao? Again, and this is why I don't want to point fingers yet. Again, like I don't want to do that because we're still getting everything, okay? Because Who's to say Top Rank comes out and says, look, man, look at his contract. And y'all tell us. And now look, I'm not gonna sit here and say that Top Rank has done a fantastic job with Terence Crawford. Like I've been one to say like they've done a borderline piss poor job. I mean, if you really considering who Crawford is. Now I understand again, and this came up in discussion too. The stigma that Crawford has gotten is that he doesn't promote himself. He's not really out there. And listen, I get it, man. I'll be the first to tell you that boxing superstars aren't made solely off of just being a damn good fighter. I mean, when you consider Floyd Mayweather before the Money May era, I mean, he wasn't even able to sell out his Grand Rapids, But I feel superstars are made based on what, they do in the ring, but there has to be like something else. And historically, it's shown. And there's different ways. I mean, number one, if you're coming from Mexico or you're coming from Puerto Rico, you're already gonna have a nation behind you. That's why Tito was who he was. Cotto, Wilfred Benitez, Wilfredo Gomez. Hector Camacho. You know what I'm saying. But even with Camacho, like he had it both ways. He was very flamboyant, and he had the Puerto Rican contingency or crowd, whatever. And then again, you look at Manny Pacquiao, whole nation behind him. Oscar De La Hoya, it took him a little bit, but look who he was, the pretty boy Olympian. Again, under Top Rank. He had a Mexican fan base, but again, when he fought Tito, I think that's when he really, and these are just examples. And then Roy Jones, but when I mention all those guys, right, there's something to add beyond what they do in the ring. And I think that's maybe been Terence Crawford's Achilles heel. And some would argue, but look at Errol Spence. He's not really out there. But, that's also a situation too, which is why I'm interested to see the literature. Errol Spence, to his benefit, is under the right umbrella. I'm not going to get into the whole back and forth. But again, as it concerns Crawford's allegations that him not being able to land the fights he was promised is all due to racial bias. I not to sound like a broken record, but I need to see the paperwork on both sides, because I feel what the judge is probably going to ask is, were you promised fight with fighter X, fighter Y, fighter Z? Because I have a tough time believing Bob called Tim Smith or all these people say, hey, can we get this Crawford fight next year? So then you start to think all right, well, what's a big fight that he was promised? But again, is that in the literature? Because the one thing that is for sure is Crawford got paid. He did. I think he got $6 million for Porter, which was a career high for him. So it's not like Crawford, and listen, for everybody saying what he shouldn't have re-upped, let me explain something to you guys, okay? Terence Crawford right now is a free agent, right? And what was everybody here saying? Oh man, once he leaves, Al Heyman will sign him, or you go to Al Heyman. Has Crawford gotten a call from Al Heyman? Has Crawford got a call from Tim Smith, who's in the side of his mouth, sandbagging Crawford, saying oh, well, we don't want to insult him with an offer to fight Spence, but fucking call him. Call him. So I there's a lot going on, man, which is why I'm not trying to say anything factual as it concerns what I think is going to happen. I don't know. I mean, if I were to roll the dice, this is what I'll say. Okay. I think if it's a deal where Crawford is looking for money, and I'm going to say this again, unless he legitimately has a case of racial bias that he could provide, say, look at this, and then look at this. But with that, there has to, if he's accusing him of that, the one thing that is also going to come up is there a history of fighters that, and you can't see Floyd because this is not exactly the same situation. Like, Floyd bought himself out of his contract, you know? And mind you, went on to make more money. Crawford is, like, Floyd didn't sue Bob Arum. He's trying to sue Crawford's trying to sue Bob Arum. You know, so that's a whole different can of worms. But I personally feel Crawford maybe, just maybe, could have gone and gotten his money that he's requesting, or he's alleging that they promised him for big fights. But him adding the racial tone, or like the racial factor, I don't know if that's gonna hurt his case. When he probably they could have settled for something, you know? I don't know. Again, I'm not an attorney, and none of us know the full gist. We know Bob's history, but Terence Crawford re-upped his contract, man, in 2018 when all of us were saying, bro. But I'll say this, and then I'll finish it off with this. But at the same time, like I just mentioned, there's no guarantee that Al Heyman was on the horn saying, yo, we need your services. Because again, what has been the rhetoric for the past 3 years? Oh, you need to get off a top rank. You need to get off a top rank. And now you have Tim Smith saying, well, you know, we can't really, he's asking for money, like essentially that we can't really pay him. So what is it, man? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is it? So we'll see, man. This is going to be an ongoing story. What I will say is that it's a good thing Crawford did this post the contract, because otherwise, and I argued this to some people today, had he done this when he was with Top Rank, they would have shelved his ass. Just like they did with Mikey. So I think, and let's see, Crawford, I feel, has been planning this for some time. I just hope, for his sake, he has it, like he has a case where he could bring something to, like, hey, like, look, it's gonna be tough, because I'll tell y'all, man. And shout to Train, he mentions this all the time. Bob Arum is an attorney by trade and has high-level attorneys in his pocketbook. Okay, like, you just gotta think about those things, man. And on top of the fact that Crawford is gonna have to pay attorney fees too, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, attorneys ain't working for UNICEF, man. So, I mean, just, it is what it is, yo. So for me, I hope for Crawford, his focus really should be on elevating your career at this point, because if he fights anything less than Sean Porter, like, you're taking a step back. You know, there was talks that they still may plan a Josh Taylor fight, which is just like, I don't know, man. Listen, guys. This October, Terence Crawford is gonna be 35 years old. Just let that sink in. Okay? I think he's one of the best fighters in the world. But Father Time is undefeated. Undefeated. And I just would hate to see him in a position where, like, we go another year and we're like, who did he fight? And then 36 rolls around and now you land your big fight. So we'll see, man. But let me know what you guys think. I mean, I'll report more on it as it comes. I mean, I'm just not giving. We're just getting all the information now, man. I'm just trying to weed through all the information that we're being given right now. And, you know, we're hearing Crawford's side. We're hearing, Bob says it's frivolous. It's ridiculous. Let's see. But let me know what you think, man. Does Terence Crawford have a case? Can he win this case? He's asking for money. You know what I'm saying? It's a civil case. He's asking for money, but, you know, the racial component is going to open another can of worms. And, you know, the question is does Crawford have a chance to like really win this case? And mind you, man, if he does, if it's based on a racial bias, whew, that'll be some monumental shit, man. I don't think anybody's won a case over Bob over a racial. People have had their issues with Bob, but, like, to win a little, to win like a $10 million suit based on racial bias? Wow. We will see, though. Let me know what you think. Follow us at Guard Your Girl Boxing on Instagram. Follow me at Roberto_Flat. I'll see you soon. Peace.